Last week I released a video titled Men Pump Their Own Gas. And the reason I released a video on that topic was the American Psychological Association released a report that, or reported that, teaching boys masculinity is harmful. And per usual, my instincts were right on, because this week Gillette, parent company Procter & Gamble, so you could boycott who you want, released a commercial in which they depicted men as being basically sexual predators and rapists, and saying that masculinity was the cause of this. By the way, it was a racist commercial. Watch it back, you will see that I believe 42 of the 43 predators they showed in the commercial were white males, and all of the heroic men who stepped in to stop these predators were minorities. So there's that. But the commercial, the American Psychological Association, they have taken up, they've been infiltrated by the Marxist, the socialist left, who only operates in terms of power. And they know that traditional masculine traits tend to vote for individual liberty. And effeminized men and women on aggregate, they vote, again, this is on statistical averages over long periods of time, they vote for more state power, for state protection. And the reason for that is traditional masculinity teaches the value of rugged individualism, of taking care of yourself, and of course taking care of a family, which is why women who are married actually tend to vote for smaller government, because they're with someone who they see as taking care of their family. And once you have that, you realize that the state is not the protector it pretends to be, but it is actually a predator on people that wish to be free. But taking on the commercial and the American Psychological Association, what they're doing is they are altering definitions. They are making generations of people believe that masculinity is what causes people to become sexual predators. But of course, we know that's the opposite. I mean, Harvey Weinstein is not the most masculine man. All of these soy boys you see in Hollywood who led to this Me Too movement, they are the biggest virtue signalers, right? These are the men that claim to be feminist, because what they really are is cowards. What they really are is predators. And they want people to believe that sexual assault happens because of masculinity, but the truth is, sexual assault is prevented by masculinity. The safest place for a woman to be is in a relationship with a masculine man. That man is not going to rape her, and that man's going to make sure she's protected. The safest place for children to be is in a home with a father. Children who grow up without their biological father are 20 times more likely to be victims of sexual assault. 20 times more likely, because masculine is the protectors. I actually tweeted out a video on Twitter, I think today or yesterday, a Gillette ad from, I think, 1990 or something like that. And in that ad, they showed Gillette, the best a man can get, and what they showed was men dressed in suits, getting married, playing with their children, going to work, showing up on Wall Street in a nice suit, playing sports, Olympic athletes, pro athletes. And what they were depicting is true masculinity, because true masculinity works not as a threat to women, but in service of the women in your life, to make sure that they have whatever they need. And by the way, that includes true masculinity. For example, my wife wanted to go to be an acupuncturist, go to Chinese medicine, or become get into Chinese medicine. And without hesitation, I told her, you take on what you got to take on, and I'll make sure those bills are paid, and all the bills are paid, and just like that, you know, now she's on the verge of being an acupuncturist. She's going to be more successful than me, but that empowerment comes from being with someone that embraces traditional masculinity. That empowerment comes from a person in your life who says, don't worry, we will be stable, we will do what we have to do, we will survive. And the traditional masculine is just that. The traditional masculine man would get married at a young age. That was expected of masculinity, right? This isn't an attack on homosexuality. This is just, as an example, if you weren't married by the time you were 30 in the 1950s, there'd be whispers that you were a homosexual because you were the antithesis of what a masculine man was supposed to do. He was supposed to, and again, that's not an attack on gay people, it's just a masculine man was expected not to sleep around, but to marry a woman and protect her and serve her by going to work, working a hard job, working in an office, working with his hands, whatever it might be, making sure his children had food, making sure his children were safe. And there is no safer place for society than under the protection of the true masculine. And those that wish to subvert society know that, because the true masculine, those are the soldiers, right? That doesn't just protect women and children in the home, but that protects all of society from predators, the people which wish to prey upon us. And, you know, growing up, my dad, his father was a Marine, fought in World War II. My dad fought in Vietnam, a Marine, and worked with their hands, but they kind of he started to buy into the narrative, wanted me to be book smart. So I was very book smart to the point where I stopped learning how to do things with my hands. And you start to see the generational effect of that. That first it's, oh, you know what, you just worry about books, don't do things with your hands. And then one generation teaches the next generation that. Before you know it, one of the important traditional parts of masculinity is gone. The ability to conquer things yourself, not just through paying other people. I mean, there's value in it. I mean, for example, I have all this wood, and, you know, a year ago, I paid someone to cut the tree down for me. I'm ashamed of that now, because there's an innate part of me, part of my evolution that is lost in doing that, in that I lose the ability to conquer a tree. And that will happen no longer. I will no longer pay anyone else to do anything. I will take care of it myself, because when we pay people, we lose a part of ourselves. And men, especially in response to the attacks on masculinity, have to show our children what traditional masculinity is, and that is service to women, that is service to children, and that is conquering whatever is in front of you. A man is stoic, a man is not overly emotional. That doesn't mean you can't be emotional, that doesn't mean don't cry at a funeral, that doesn't mean wallow in self-pity. That doesn't mean, that means don't wallow in self-pity, that means don't succumb to depression, to remain stoic and strong. And a man is competitive because a man conquers his environment. So the next tree I'll take down myself. And that will make me stronger, and that will make my children stronger. And with the way society is going, and with the financial instability and people like Alexandria Cortez and Bernie Sanders coming to prominence, and we move more and more towards socialism, and of course unfunded liabilities being unsustainable, eventually an economic collapse is going to come, and we as a people need to get ready. We need to have the skills. We need to be able to take down trees, build fences. We need to be able to provide value with our hands. We need to be able to build things for our family to keep them safe, to shelter them, whatever it might be. We need to have weapons. We need to have armaments. We need to be ready for whatever is coming. You need to have food rations and all of that, and it starts with finding something buried deep inside of ourselves, something that has been lost. And I can't stress to you enough the importance of getting back to your masculine roots, and for women getting back to their feminine roots, because the same way they're attacking masculinity, modern feminism is an attack on femininity. Because they didn't stop where they should have, right? I mean, yes, women should be able to work, women should be able to do whatever they want, have equal rights, but the problem is, once women got equal rights, they kept taking it a step further, and they said to be feminine is bad, to stay home and raise children is somehow makes you lower in society, when the truth is that's sacrifice for the people you love, and sacrifice is the highest form that we should aspire to be. A woman sacrificing her career and whatever it might be for a family. And by the way, I think you'll find, just look at the depression rates, you'll find that women that stay home and raise a family are happier. Just like it's the same thing with a man who pumps gas for 13 hours or, you know, breaks his back for 13 hours a day. Not a corporate CEO. He's not doing that for glory. He's doing that for sacrifice, which is how you get in touch with God, which is the highest form that we should strive for in our society. It's what we should prop up, not what we should rip down. So we as a society need to get ready, and the only way we're going to do that is to get back to our roots and recover who we truly are. Power to the individual. Long live liberty.